Hello, everyone, and welcome to Experience Kills, episode 17, the Valentine's Day special. For all you lucky ladies and gentlemen out there, we're coming to bring you some romance on this cold, wintry day. I'm your host, Ben, and with me today is the sexy Rob.
Hello.
And the handsome Cameron.
With his bloody Naruto headband again.
Hey, look, I attract a certain type of weeb, okay? And I'm damn proud of it.
The great thing is that this gives me the perfect excuse to bring like a low-energy sexiness to the podcast, considering I'm really suffering today from some kind of horrible stomach bug. So, you know, the show must go on, but this means I can just be chill and cool and, hey.
Is that your tagline, Ben? Low energy sexiness?
That's what, you know, and in the best gift possible to my wife, I get to sit in my office for 2 hours and give her some peace and quiet. And that's the ultimate Valentine's Day gift. So yeah, low energy sexy. That's my my wrestler name actually.
Okay.
I'm low energy sexy. Yeah, there you go. How you guys doing?
Doing good. It's a bright sunny morning. I've been up longer than I should have on the amount of sleep I haven't had. So yeah, let's do this.
Don't talk to me about not sleeping, Rob. Don't talk to me about not sleeping.
Okay, yeah, you might have monopoly on that one.
And Cam, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, you know, it's a wonderful cloudy morning in the south of England. You know, it's cold, it's wet, and it's boring. And it's a Valentine's Day for me and my partner to be woken up by our son covered in poop. So not the greatest morning that we had.
I think it's probably better than your wife being woken up by your husband covered in poop.
See, I just woke up this morning.
It happened
and
once.
Had breakfast.
It happened once, I swear.
I'm not saying that's what happened this morning, but it could have done. Yeah. So people don't believe me when I say Leah, my lovely wife, absolutely hates Valentine's Day. They always think it's one of those things, you know, when you have a girlfriend or a wife that says that, just, I don't know, it's like a test or something to see if you will do something. And that's what I thought in the beginning, you know, so I was like, you know, I'd go out of my way and make an effort. No, genuinely, that would put me in the doghouse for weeks. Like, she genuinely hates Valentine's Day. And the logic being, what, you only have to show that you love me once a year? I mean, what the hell is that? That's bullshit.
The hell is
exactly.
you? Quota.
Yeah, so I'm not allowed to ever do anything romantic for my wife on Valentine's Day. So yeah, I get out of that one, which is pretty handy, and especially today, considering how we are recording a podcast and how I feel as well. So if I have to disappear for any period of time during the show, I do apologize, but I will return as quickly as I can.
A friend of mine from university, her birthday is on Valentine's Day, so she doesn't exactly enjoy the day 100% either. So
My mum went into labour with my brother the day before, and I basically like slept through Valentine's Day from exhaustion that year. And my dad was just like, I was like, what did you do like for Valentine's that year? He was like, well, your mum slept, and I had to deal with your screaming brother pretty much. And I was like, okay, romance, baby.
It is one of those holidays that is purely from a marketing perspective, isn't it?
100%, yeah.
Oh,
yes. There's no other reason for it.
I like the history behind it of Saint Valentine marrying people against like the wishes of the church, I think it was last I checked, and like that's a nice thing. But it's like Christmas nowadays. The commercialization behind it is just ridiculous.
Even Halloween as well.
Even Halloween, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't do all these holidays anymore.
All holidays have it, don't they? Yeah, Easter, same.
My birthday. I don't even want to celebrate my birthday this year. I'm turning 30 and I don't like it.
You know, tomorrow morning, all of the Valentine's stuff is going to be on discount, and all of the Easter eggs are going to be rolled out of the cupboard and chucked on all of the Tesco shelves.
I've already seen Easter eggs in a shop, and it was like last week. I was like,
I saw Easter eggs before Christmas.
Ugh.
Right, it was like a little stand with just some rabbits made out of chocolate. I was like, I'll fucking kill you. It's not
you will see less. you will see less Easter eggs this year if they have Belgian chocolate in them anyway. Shall we get on to the news? Because they're from Europe and therefore importing of them.
They'll
is
be
gonna
stuck
more
at the border.
Okay.
There you go. I had to explain.
Great. So it's going to be an expensive Easter because everything is going to be Cadbury's straight from the UK.
Excellent point.
Right. We've got
Did
a
you
lot
just
of
say
news.
excellent point, Rob?
I wasn't going to engage.
Oh,
I've done
know
already.
I
I've
did.
done already.
I wasn't going to engage. I don't have the energy for this today. No way. Not happening.
This is why I'm going to
shall
slip
we-
more of them in, because I know I can, and he won't call me out on them.
I'm cracking up already.
Hey.
News? Do you guys want to do the news?
Yeah,
I'm
let's
not.
stop. Let's stop
Should we
yoking
do the
around and do
news?
the news.
Okay, it's the news. Because there's a lot, because we were off last week because we had the Game of the Year podcast. So I've curated it. I haven't got everything for the last 2 weeks. There's actually quite a lot of announcements and updates and things. But I've just stuck to some of the big ones, especially this first one. So this might, on the top of it, sound a bit like whatever. But when you get into it, I think the implications here are huge. So MLB The Show 21. Famously the PlayStation exclusive, made by Sony Santa Monica, which is a first-party in-house developer for Sony. It's coming to the Xbox, boys, and it's like I believe it's coming in like May to the Xbox. That's crazy, right? So you're going to get a Sony logoed, Santa Monica developed game on Xbox in May. This is huge. This is massive. This is like. I know they've been clamoring. People have been clamoring for a long time to get MLB out onto other platforms, but they never thought it would be possible because obviously Sony first party, and it's considered like the best baseball game, sort of sim baseball game out there. And obviously for the three of us, who gives a shit? It's baseball. I think I've never even played an MLB The Show game. I have no interest in the sport. I have no interest in these games.
If they made the show Rounders edition for the UK, then I think I might be more inclined to give it to him. But I just don't see professional rounders happening in a video game. Strangely enough.
So weirdly, I when I grew up, I went to an American style high school in the UK, which was like this strange experimental educational facility. Like, yeah, it sounds like I was in prison there, but yeah. Basically, this principal, for whatever reason, decided to bring on loads of like He wasn't even American, but he had like loads of American stuff. We actually had a baseball diamond in our sports field. So I actually played quite a bit of baseball in high school, weirdly, but yeah, I don't have any particular like interest in the sport beyond that. So I do have some practical experience with the sport. I remember it being quite fun to play, but I'm not interested in the game. But yeah, like I said, it's the implications. It's the implications of this, on top of the Bethesda deal, which is obviously the huge other side of the coin here, where Xbox, have bought Bethesda, and that deal is still going through, but it's looking like more and more that it's going to happen. They've actually just created a sort of like connective studio in the last week or two. They announced that's going to be like working with Bethesda on things like the Fallout games and stuff like that. And this is almost I don't know if it's reactive, but it does feel a bit like, well, can you still let Elder Scrolls be on PlayStation, please? If we'll put our baseball game. What is that enough?
See, I think this may be a sign of like Sony having actually watched what happened, because we've got the Deathloop game that's going to have like the Microsoft Game Studios as the PlayStation exclusive coming soon to that platform and all of that. I'm thinking they've actually looked at the fallout for this and gone, actually, that doesn't look like a very big deal. Maybe we should just let people have other IPs because it means more money. We like money, right?
Yeah,
other Sony
like
execs,
money,
yes, we do. Should we release this in more places to make more money? I think that may have been their thought patterns here.
I'd say it's about time.
Yeah.
Really, it's about damn time.
The day of the version exclusives has died. It's gone now. I
think there's two types, isn't there? There's two types of platform exclusive. So there's the first party platform exclusive, i.e. made by an internal studio. And then there's the exclusivity deal, right? So Deathloop is an exclusivity deal, obviously made with PlayStation prior to the acquisition of Bethesda. But MLB was a first party. So the argument would be that if you're a platform holder, you need to have something in your first party, portfolio to attract players to your platform. So I think from that perspective, it's like, I can't see Microsoft ever putting Halo on a PlayStation, for example, and I can't see Sony ever putting God of War or Horizon on an Xbox. Vice versa, because you need something to draw people in. Yeah, like otherwise, what's the point in having competing hardware? But I guess Microsoft's perspective is it's not about the hardware. It's much more about letting people play their games and their experiences wherever possible. So I'm going to be really curious to see how they leverage Bethesda. Could it be leveraged in a way of, well, PlayStation? You're going to have to let Game Pass or something on your platform as a way in if you want those games. And I think it's going to be really curious to see. And I think giving back in the other direction, a bit of MLB The Show isn't really, you're not talking about a game that sells millions upon millions of units.
It's like this level and this level. It's like,
it's
come on, work it out.
I think it's fair to say that nobody loves third-party platform exclusivity, but on the other hand, I don't think many people complain about the first-party stuff because it's what defines the platforms. I don't think anybody is upset that Halo isn't available on a PlayStation, because if you're into Halo, you're going to buy an Xbox.
It does irk me, however, that Spider-Man isn't available on an Xbox, for example, or God of War isn't available on an Xbox. It means to play these amazing games, I have to buy a freaking PlayStation.
Yeah, but it's the same. It's the same. It's these.
On the flip side, though, I've enjoyed the Gears of War games, and I can't get those on PlayStation.
Game Pass is a wonderful thing.
That is true, and I am enjoying my Game Pass.
Yeah.
I just say, once again, though, Gears of War are and is and always has been first-party exclusive. It's developed. Actually, no, that's wrong, isn't it?
No, I think Gears has always been an Xbox unit.
It has always been an Xbox exclusive, but it wasn't always an internal studio.
No.
So I mean, it was Epic, wasn't it? It was It was Epic Games, wasn't it? It was originally made by. Was it Cliffy B? That was Cliffy B, wasn't it? That was Cliffy Blazinski, Epic. I want to say so. That was. It was weird because I guess that's more like a second party deal. So it's like an exclusive franchise that's only ever been available on one platform. It wasn't a timed exclusive. So and now it is internal studio, so with a coalition. So it's a bit weird, Gears, how that evolved. I'm
stunned that it came from Epic Games, to be perfectly honest.
I'm really out of it today, guys. So maybe fact check me because
No, you're right. It is from Epic Games. I did have a look.
Yeah. Oh, it was.
But,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Who thinks of Epic as anything other than a storefront now, eh? I mean, and Fortnite, and that's kind of it. That's what you think of them for. So you don't really think of them as anything else. But that's fair enough. But no, I think this is going to be really curious to see how things evolve. I think this is an important thing to make note of and to keep an eye on as this generation unfolds. I think we're going to see a lot more cross-platform stuff, and I think it's going to be pretty exciting how the market is going to evolve and stuff. And I'm pretty pumped for that. But
Speaking of evolution,
nicely into the next story, but in the wrong direction. So Google have shut down their internal Stadia studios. So they had a couple of studios working on their Stadia games, and they're basically gone, nah. And Phil Harrison, who leads that up, basically said in a comment that it's really expensive. It's really expensive making these good games for a platform. So I think instead we're just going to give our software and our sort of know-how and our hardware, infrastructure out to more developers and let them make the games, because it's really hard
work.
It's really hard and expensive, and I can't be bothered. I imagine this was someone at Google going, right, guys, Stadia not doing what we hoped. So how can you cut costs? Because if you don't, we're going to shut the whole thing down.
If you don't cut costs, we cut you.
Feels like, okay, we'll stop making the games. Cut. Two studios, and they've said they're going to do everything they can possible to find further employment for those employees from those studios around Google. Though that's not guaranteeing them it. They're going to try, and they actually, I didn't realize this, but Jade Redmond, is Jade Raymond or Jade Redmond? One or the other. Famous for the fact that she was probably the only female lead developer that you knew the name of, like when we're going back 10 years. From the Assassin's Creed games. She then had spent some time at EA and stuff. I didn't even realize she was at Google. I had no idea she was working at one of these Stadia studios, and she's quit and she's off to do something else. But I don't think we know what yet. But I think her name comes up a lot attached to projects, but she doesn't seem to ship a lot of actual games. It's one of those weird things where, like I said, people became aware of her name because she was a bit of a figurehead, a role model for female game developers. But honestly, other than Assassin's Creed, I'm struggling to think of anything else she's actually shipped.
So she goes in, does all the hard work, and then another guy replaces her and takes her credit for all of her hard work.
Well, she goes in to do the hard work, but then she has to spend a lot of her days being told how to do the work by the men in the studio. So it's like, it takes up a lot of time, which is why nothing gets shipped.
Right.
Yeah, so that's how that works. Yeah. Okay, that just so everyone knows, that was a reference to Is that gaslighting? What is that? Mansplaining.
Mansplaining, indeed. It's completely bullshit that such things exist, but
it happens all the time.
It happens all the time, and it frustrates all of us.
Yeah, so writing's on the wall for Stadia here, I think. I mean, it's a shame because the tech is actually the best of these that I've seen for the network-based gaming solutions. However, it's not in no way been adopted. I mean, the fact that they were chucking free shit at Cam just to try and make him interested was pretty hilarious. Like, I remember that you got the controller and you got that starter pack, didn't you? Right? And I remember they wanted like 80 quid for that when that first came out, and then they just gave them away. They're just giving them away.
Please use this. Love us.
I think I'm trying to remember. I think it came with my YouTube Premium subscription that it came through that I could claim the Stadia Pro series. I mean, Google as a whole does throw some things at you. They sent me a one of the little mini home speakers as well, just for being with YouTube. It's a good little product. It's one of those things I wouldn't really think about buying it myself. And the only reason I really took up the offer is because I wanted one of the 4K Chromecast that came with it as well. So
that's a handy thing to have.
Stadia,
yeah, the 4K Chromecast is pretty cool thing to have actually. But it looks like it's months from shuttering. I give it 6 months. 6 months? Yeah, I think so.
Like the Google Nest and like the Amazon Alexa and stuff, they are really nifty pieces of tech, but you need to kind of steer into it. Like I've got Wi-Fi light bulbs in my living room, for example. I've got an Amazon Alexa. I can say the word Alexa because it's not the watchword, so I can say it without it talking.
I have headphones on, so you're not activating mine.
Rats.
Activating your what?
I'm not going to do it. You're
I almost said the answer there, and then I figured out what Cam was trying to do.
Really clever.
I've got one of the Google Nest Home Max pet ones, and I've got it in my kitchen, and I adore it because I can put something on that. YouTube, Netflix. I can literally put a Gordon Ramsay thing on while I'm just playing around in the kitchen making some food, just for some advice and stuff. Brilliant. I love it. I wish more sort of techie bits like that came around, but
I like the idea of just from advice. Some advice is like you don't even say anything, and it's just like, your butt looks really big in those jeans. Try some different jeans. It's just like what? It's just chucking out the advice. Can
you imagine?
Have you considered? Have you considered a new line of work, Cameron? You might be happier. What? Who are you to say that to me?
Okay, Google, do I look fat in these pants? Yes. Lose some weight. Here's a Gordon Ramsay healthy recipe. Somebody's come to say hello.
Oh, we're getting another cameo appearance.
Another cameo appearance. What?
Should we move on to the next news story? Let's talk about the ongoing saga
segment. It's back
of CD Projekt Red. And how they can't catch a break to save their lives. Literally to save their business, I should say, in this situation. So these guys genuinely got ransomware attacked. So they got their like network compromised. They got a bunch of unreleased like Witcher 3 builds. They got compromised and stolen. They got internal documents compromised and taken. They got like, you know, what was it? Something to do with Thronebreaker stuff, which was the Gwent card game. Like, they got all this stuff taken, and for real, it actually happened. And they got one of those amazing ransom letters, which seems to have been written by a 14-year-old circa 1997. Which, please have a look in the show notes if you do want to peruse the epic ponage that is in this letter. But props to them. They basically went, nah. They restored a backup from like probably pretty recent, and they just told the guys to F off, and they weren't going to in any way, you know, deal with
terrorists.
Yeah, well, you don't. I mean, that's kind of what I was thinking, but at the same time, it's really not that, is it? I mean, it's just some stupid fucking idiots. But I thought the interesting thing was the threat was, if you don't pay up, we're gonna give your documents to the games press, and we're gonna sell your software, you know, your unreleased stuff, your base code and stuff to the highest bidder. And then they did that, and supposedly they have done that. They have sold on the code and stuff to someone. But I think the weird thing here is, how does anybody leverage that? I mean, first of all, if you're in the games press or journalist, if you got a bunch of internal documents that were stolen, how would you then leak or put that information out without being liable? You couldn't use it, because everybody's going to know where it's come from, and therefore you have gotten it from ill-gotten gains, right? So you can't use that information. And then in addition, how is any other developer or whoever would have bought this source code, what are they going to do with that? They're going to build a clone of The Witcher 3? I mean, what's the benefit of having that?
Slightly excited chase. You know, what are they going to do instead of The Witcher: The Wild Hunt? You know, come out with their own one. This is
to ask a dumb question, but what's the importance of the source code itself? So what is the main component of the source code? Is that just like the underlying features?
It's proprietary information, so it's the base code of the game, right? Of what they use to make the game. So the engine information, where the hooks go in for the development. You know, there'll be a lot of like, it's closely guarded by different developers, especially when you're dealing with a big indie kind of developer like CD Projekt Red. You know, they've built these engines themselves from the ground up. So that is something important to them. It's part of why they are worth what they are worth. In addition, it would have things that weren't released. It might have stuff in there that they were going to use in future projects. You know, you just don't know. It depends how sanitized it was and how cleaned up it was. There's a lot of variables at play here. But really, you've got a point. It's like, well, that's what I'm saying. What's someone going to do with that? You might give some competition a slight leg up, but it's going to be pretty slight, because unless you're going from the ground up, you know, using that, it's going to be very hard to retroactively insert a lot of that. I just want to point out, however, I'm not a game developer. I'm not an expert in any way in these fields, but this is my understanding of it. And you know, if you do see this as from a different light, do let us know at Experience Kills on Twitter, or in the comments on YouTube. But yeah, I can't see a particularly beneficial reason other than to have it. You know, to know.
It's a way to mess with their PR, because someone who would know the code and has an understanding of that will be able to go, well, that shit, and basically just cause life to be even shitter for ZDPR.
Yeah.
When they're trying to recover, they're doing their best right now. It's just another way of kicking them. That's what this is. Especially, I read the ransom note because I didn't realise that had been published. The first line is, "You have been epically pwned." And it's like, sorry, what are you, 13 in a basement?
Yeah, I said that for a reason.
Yeah.
it's hilarious.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. And
I don't think the word pwned has been used for about 7 years in the meme world.
So it's just a way of shitting on them. I'm never exactly like a huge positive proponent of CDPR. Like I'm fairly neutral. I don't go too far in extreme as far as the developers themselves are concerned. But this shouldn't have happened to them. This is bullshit for them, and I do feel for them in this instance.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's kicking them while they're down. You know, they're trying to rebuild, they're trying to sort stuff out with the game, you know, with Cyberpunk and it, you know, and this is just more upon more, and it's clear that they would have been targeted off the back of that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like this is a revenge thing. This is someone going after them. I almost imagine that the kind of person that's going to buy the sort of the code and stuff it's going to be like more likely like some kind of tech savvy YouTuber than it would be like a competing developer, someone that wants to, like you just said, get in there and point out all the flaws and aren't going to feel particularly at risk from any liable legal challenges to what they're doing, because honestly I can't see any competitor wanting to take that risk.
I can't see
that's
EA going
crazy.
on the dark web going, oh, we can buy the Witcher code. I can't see EA doing
finally
that. Like it's not going to happen. It's going to be some disgruntled little idiot who wants to spend more time pointing holes at CDPR.
Yeah, I also think, I would imagine that this action. So first of all, when they did this, do you think the first thought on the mind of the ransomware attackers was that CDPR would just pay out, right? I imagine you do this in the hopes of a payout, right? Yeah. So instead, they immediately publicly out them. And they post the ransom note. They say we aren't going to, in any way curtail, go for this. So, and then you would imagine that Mr. Ransomware with his ponage is probably hoping that there's going to be some kind of positive support for what he's done. But like from the vast majority of the press, from the vast majority that I've seen, it's actually been the opposite. It's been kind of a support has been leveled at CDPR instead of them. So it's just like, I have to wonder, because the actual for sale thing, if you look at it, it was up for auction. The auction then get pulled down and there's like a comment saying, oh no, we've done a deal with someone. Yeah. Or did you just not get any interest?
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
did you do a deal with your other hand pressing the delete button? Like, is that what happened there?
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if anything comes of this. I look from a sort of the perspective of someone interested in game development. I'd be curious to see if somebody did, get inside the source code and found out some cool information and stuff, but not from a negative perspective. I just find that sort of stuff interesting. I mean, that's one of the problems with game development in my mind, is that so many of these developers are so close and they do deal with so much proprietary technology, and that is guarded very secretly and very jealously. And it's a sort of a shame. It's difficult to know how a lot of the sausage is made, whereas when it comes to like filmmaking and writing and TV and all of the other kind of creative mediums we enjoy, we understand how those are created. We understand the processes there, whereas with a lot of development, it is very hard to understand it. I mean, it is much more technical, but it's also, guarded jealously, and it's a bit. I'd like to know more. It's unfortunate, I think that's the way things are, but it's also a business, isn't it? So you have to bear that in mind. So yeah, Mass Effect Legendary Edition is coming out on May 14th. This is an almost complete re-release of the trilogy. Very almost, but we'll talk about that in a moment. It's got graphical tweaks. There's a lot of work that's gone into the first Mass Effect, including lots of like improvements on the visual fidelity side of it, improvements to the UI to bring it more in close to the second two games in the series, which is a lot more work has been done on that first Mass Effect than I was anticipating. They've done things to tweak how the guns feel so that they feel more unique like they do in the second two games, and they don't feel as sort of generic and wishy-washy as they did in the first game. It's really exciting what they've done with that, actually. I'm really, really looking forward to playing Mass Effect 1 again, because I think there's going to be loads of quality of life improvements that are really going to make it stand out. They've done things like they've brought back, how they have the default femme shep and the default male shep appearances. But the femme shep one only came in the third game, but they've now brought it back so that it's actually reflected from the first game all the way through, so you can carry that character model all the way through, which is really nice. They've done lots of stuff like that.
Something they've also tweaked, much to everyone's relief, is the controls on the Mako, or the Mako, however you want to pronounce it, which I understand is reviled.
It's Mako. You nearly got there. Mako. But you've not played one, have you?
I've not played one.
So I forgive you because the Mako never comes back because people hated that thing.
You're trying to not make a big deal of it.
Oh, I mean, I like the Mako. I think it had a squirrely, fun way of controlling and driving all over the place. But I think it sounds things are going to make it a bit faster, a bit snappier, a bit easier to control, which is great because there are these. So you've not played the first game, so there are these planets in the first game, and moons, which you can land on. And there's a lot of them. So they cut this largely out of the second game because they did a probe thing in the second game. So you land on these planets and you drive around in the Mako and you find very little. The odd resource node, the occasional prefabricated building, and that's about it. And they're all barren for the most part, and they're all single biomes. And you kind of had to do this, though, if you wanted to get enough resources to grind out the best gear and weapons and stuff and research. So you had to kind of meticulously go to each of these planets, find everything on one of these barren worlds, and you had to do this in the Mako. So from that perspective, making the Mako a little bit easier to use is probably beneficial. It's weird because if you look at the second two games, like, there's a lot of streamlining done in that kind of resource gathering stuff. I'll be very curious to see how you get on with it as someone who's not played the first game when we get to May.
Remember, I haven't played any yet.
Yeah, I know. You will, Cam. You will.
I'm sure I notice a difference now.
But yeah, I'm super excited. I can't wait to get my hands on this game on May the 14th. I can't wait to play this again. Having it all in one launcher, having almost all the DLC all included right there. It's going to be.
Let's go back to the thing that I want. Sorry.
Let's segue to that second part because it's not all included, is
exactly.
it? There's a DLC missing.
This is what I want to talk about because I find this quite funny. So they can't include all of the DLC. They can't remaster it completely because they have corrupted source code for one of the DLCs. So they can't remaster it. They can't remake it. I find
this is Pinnacle Station, which was like a combat arena bit of DLC that wasn't even developed by BioWare, it was outsourced, and that's probably part of the reason why we got problems here. The original code for it was I don't know, how do you corrupt stuff like that? I don't even know. What did you do? You keep it on a zip disk and then stood on the zip disk by mistake? I mean, what happened like back then? I don't know.
Someone was using the same hard drive to download pornography or something.
Yeah.
And got a virus.
Yeah.
Was it on the CDPR servers?
But trust me when I tell you, you're not missing out much.
No.
It didn't add anything to the story. It didn't really add anything to the gameplay. It's a shame we can't have quite everything, as it were. But yeah, I don't think anybody's gonna cry too hard over this. But yeah, as time is going on and BioWare are like unveiling a bit more here, a bit more there and stuff, we're finding out that they are tweaking things. They are changing things up a little bit, modernizing this, altering that, changing the appearances of characters a little bit, altering lighting and stuff.
Camera angles.
Yeah, and I think this is really cool, actually. I mean, it's there is a counter to this. I mean, so Mass Effect 2's character Miranda Lawson is this companion that you get given in the second game, and she's like a Cerberus operative, and her whole thing is her appearance, right? And that is very intentional from a story perspective. And I don't want to spoil too much for Cameron, but basically I can't really talk about this without spoiling it, unfortunately, Cam, but it's a minor thing. But it's she's basically genetically engineered to be the perfect woman. So she's been created to be absolutely stunning, absolutely perfect, like intelligent and strong and just incredibly able in every single way. But one of the problems, I guess, with the second game was that there were some camera angles that did focus on certain physical aspects of her that were a bit gratuitous.
Of her.
Yeah, I chose that word intentionally. Yeah, I did. I just didn't stress it in the corny way Rob did.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. And they're kind of going to de-emphasize things like that somewhat in the remake, which speaks to the year 2021 more than the year Mass Effect 2 came out in. So I think that's intelligent and that's thoughtful and things like that. But I can, the argument being here that those camera angles were intentional because the character was, much to her chagrin, she didn't know this about herself. She finds this out over the course of the game that she has been genetically modified, and she has been, basically crafted by her very sick father into being this sort of ideal. and therefore she has a lot of issues coming to terms with that, and that's why those camera angles to emphasize things like that I think were consciously chosen. If I'm being kind to the developer, and it wasn't just sleazy. And as they're one of my favorite developers, I'm inclined to be kind to them, I suppose.
You're just trying to hope for a review copy. That's what you're doing. I will be kind. Give me review code.
Oh my god, in the show notes. Oh my god, who put that picture in the show notes? Oh my god, Cameron, you fucking animal. He's got a picture of like really awkward looking male Shep grinning, and it's got like Miranda's arse next to it, and it's really, really
I had to
upsetting.
research what Miranda's butt looked like, so I thought I'd just share this wonderful image with the group.
I mean, do you approve, Cam?
Not of that face, but that ass. That ass, though.
Shocking.
Oh, look, it went away. What a surprise.
Shocking. And to think I was going to throw to Cameron to talk about the April Fool's Day news of casting in the Borderlands movie, but instead I'm not going to, and we're just going to skip all of that entirely. No, not really.
So back to Borderlands.
So let's start with the news that Gearbox, they got their bought. They've been bought up, boys. They've been bought by this. Can somebody give me I'm just going to bring it up actually. I want to name them properly. They've got this really generic name that's super forgettable.
THQ Nordic.
No, it's not THQ Nordic. No? These guys own THQ Nordic. Embracer. So there's this group, I don't know, investment super company conglomerate called Embracer that owns THQ Nordic, Koch Media, and Saber Interactive, which they're all kind of European devs. And then now own Gearbox. Like they've got this huge slate of developers now. They're absolutely massive, this group. And it's kind of come out a bit out of nowhere. And I think we've only all woken up to this fact because of the Gearbox acquisition. But obviously I've played quite a lot of THQ Nordic, Koch Media, and Saber's games and stuff. And I actually quite like the obscured, weird European stuff that comes out of those types of studios. But Gearbox, I'm quite surprised because they were kind of always fiercely independent. Randy Pitchford was always, strong at the top of that, for good or worse, usually as a mouthpiece. Yeah, not always the best. But at least they kind of had a strong independent identity. So I was pretty shocked to see this. But I mean, how do you feel about it, Cam?
It's interesting, like you said, they've always been so independent, and apparently I think they're going to keep hold of the rights to the Borderlands franchise, so we should still get some more of that. But whether it's going to change because it's part of a big conglomerate or not, I don't know, or whether or not this is going to affect the upcoming, movie that they're doing or not. Who knows,
Oh man, yeah, it'd be such a bummer if this movie didn't happen.
Speaking of the movie, there has been news and progress to do with that as well. In
This
more
is the craziest.
Absurdly amazing casting, which makes no sense.
I'm less and less inclined to believe this will ever happen. Every day we get another casting announcement.
Considering Jamie Lee Curtis is now confirmed on board, and Jack Black is going to be Claptrap, I desperately want to see this movie.
So Jamie Lee Curtis is going to be Tannis.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Now, Tannis is a character only in the first game, yeah?
Wrong. She's in all of them.
Is she?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
wow, okay. Cool. Tell me about Tannis, because clearly I don't remember her at all.
Tannis was a research scientist on Pandora. She started off, researching iridium and stuff like that, and everything to do with the Vault. And she is 100% nuts, basically, in all the kind of best neurotic kind of ways. Really,
Yes.
is that? It's an ideal way of putting it, isn't it?
Utterly insane.
And it works brilliantly. She's a great character. Though.
That's her one character trait.
Well,
Crazy.
Her story does unfold and it does expand in the later games, especially in the third game. She becomes a really prominent character in there. For those people who may not have played it yet or who might want to play in the future, I just don't want to reveal too much, that's all. So it's kind of hard to, nail it down 100%, that's all.
Yeah, she does have progression. In the first game, she's definitely just token quest giver. In the second game, she gets a bit more story to her. She's sort of around the main crew, but not like right in there. And in the third one, she's like one of the main cast. So she definitely has growth. She definitely has procession through. So it's interesting. This movie is insane.
From what I can tell, Jamie Lee Curtis was only cast because she often has short hair as well. Is that? I mean, that seems accurate to me. Like,
the funny thing is, I could see Jamie Lee Curtis doing this role as Tannis. I think she'd make a great Tannis. That being said, though, Jamie Lee Curtis is a great actress, so she could probably pull off a lot of things. She could probably pull off being Claptrap. Okay, but
yeah,
I'm just trying to imagine. Right, so we've got. So who is Lilith again? Kate Blanchett, right?
Yes.
Kate Blanchett, yeah.
Right. Kate Blanchett is Lilith.
Kevin
Hart is Roland, which is
still
so strange to me.
The only way,
Jamie Lee Curtis is Tannis, and Jack Black as Claptrap. And I hope they just get rid of robot Claptrap entirely and just have Jack Black running around instead, which I think would be
just in a funny hat.
Yeah.
See, what they really need to do now is sign Dwayne The Rock Johnson up as Brick.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah,
Dwayne would
as
make it
Brick.
Perfect.
Boom.
That seems highly possible at this point as well.
And to be honest, a friend of mine actually suggested, even though this will segue into our next news story, but Pedro Pascal to play Mordecai. We thought that would be a really good combination as well.
I feel like Pedro Pascal only wants to, be working in good projects, though, mate. So I think
he should clearly be interested in this.
No, this Borderlands is just like, I think I mentioned it when this news came out on our WhatsApp group. I was like, is this just like the longest April Fool's joke ever? Is this some kind of April Fool's joke? I can't decide if it's an April Fool's joke at the fans or an April Fool's joke at the actors. Like, this cannot be real. This is the strangest thing. Like, and the only reason I don't think you'll get Dwayne is Dwayne wants to lead his projects and he isn't big on ensemble stuff anymore after the Fast and the Furious. So I don't think he'd come in as Brick. But
the first and second Jumanji
films, he wants a lot of money.
I was about to say, Jumanji movies may completely, utterly disagree with you.
But that
was the deals done before, so you're going back. Yeah, it did have Kevin Hart and Jack Black, which is the reason he might do it, just because he likes hanging with those fools. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, fair enough. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. This is the weirdest. It's
gonna be amazing.
Casting.
It's weird, but I'm gonna love it no matter what.
Or the trick is that they're all in the movie, but they're only going to be in it for 2 minutes each as like cameos. and then we have just an unnamed someone or other playing a vault hunter, and they're the lead character. And they're just like quest givers, and they're just quest givers that are only there for like 2 seconds. Like, hey, you need to go do this.
Yeah, they come in.
They're not really in it.
Ooh, see, that'd be
maybe
really
that's
clever.
how they get around it.
I like that a lot.
You like that? I mean, I feel like people would feel pretty conned, but I don't know.
If the rest of the movie is solid, what's the problem?
It's not actually a movie. It's actually an FMV game of Borderlands, and they're just they're like live action quest givers.
Does that mean if I go to a cinema?
No, you don't have to go. You'll be able to play it at home, but only on the Vive headset. I don't know why I chose that, but
I think I might still buy it. To be honest,
I mean, anything you can buy on the Vive, you can buy on Oculus. So
no, but only it's exclusive to the Vive.
Exclusivity to the Vive doesn't exist, to my knowledge. See, this is where you're trying to pull the VR knowledge card on someone who owns VR, and it's not.
I own VR. I got rid of VR because it was shit. Right, let's
Ben
move
has been
on.
Disconnected from this podcast.
As a side note to all the Borderlands fans out there who don't know, there is a new DLC to come out in March, along with I believe it is the director's cut, and we're finally getting a raid boss coming in as well. I don't know if you actually did any of the raid bosses in number 2, guys, as well.
I did Terramorphous quite a lot.
Well, sorry guys, we're going to move on. That's not on the show notes. So
it is actually. I didn't see it.
It is on the show notes.
It is. I can see it. I wrote it there just to.
You're only taking advantage of me because I'm too weak to defend myself today.
No, I'm taking advantage because Borderlands is a great game series that I really enjoy just as much as Cameron does. So you're outnumbered 2-1.
No accounting for taste. Okay. Right. So, more casting announcements related to video game properties of a nature that I'm still on the fence about whether or not we'll ever see them. we have The Last of Us on HBO TV show. Why does this exist? But it does. And we're getting Pedro Pascal as Joel, and we're getting the Lady Jorah Mormont, who actually does have an actor's real name.
Lyanna.
It's
Lyanna Mormont.
You basic.
What did I say?
Jorah Mormont.
Jorah. That's his. That's
Oh,
his
that's
granddad.
the guy. Yeah, all right. Bella Ramsey, her name, and she was cool. I remember her in Game of Thrones. Did she get killed by the White Walkers? I can't remember now. In that final season.
She charged and
She fell in the Battle of Winterfell. Yeah.
Yeah, she fell in the Battle of Winterfell. She charged a zombie giant.
Yeah, badass little bitch she was, man.
Yes, because I think she killed the thing as well.
She's Bella Ramsey's going to be Ellie, and I think this is some pretty good casting. If you on the surface of it, I think you can see both of those people doing a very good job in those roles. But I just can't help but ask myself why. Like why are we getting a TV adaptation of The Last of Us? I mean, it in itself is quite, sort of,
thing is
episodic-y and cinematic and grand in its feeling. It doesn't need a TV adaptation. But my only thinking is that Neil Druckmann, who is the creative director behind the games and now of Naughty Dog, he's very heavily involved with the show. I believe he may even be a co-showrunner on it, and that gives you faith that he would only do it if he felt like there was something more to add here with the TV show. So we may get, I guess, a storyline that is potentially set between the games or before the first. Well, it won't be before the first game because obviously Ellie and Joel aren't together in that. But between the games, perhaps. So it's connective tissue rather than a retelling. But
yeah,
I don't know.
One
what
thing
do you guys think about this? Yeah.
As far as casting goes, Pedro Pascal, I mean, he's heavily saturated in the media lately, but I mean, he's a great actor.
Mm-hmm.
However, me and my friends were actually discussing this a little while ago, and we didn't see anything wrong with Pedro Pascal's casting. But I always thought that an ideal person to play Joel is the chap who played Jaime Lannister. Actually, I thought he'd be a great Joel.
Look-wise.
Thank you. Yes. Don't want to sound like I was having a stroke by trying to pronounce his name.
The only problem is I have seen him in something other than Game of Thrones. Don't ask me what. And he was fucking terrible. Like, he is not a good actor. And I think Pedro Pascal is a very good actor. And I think
the Mandalorian here, he's an amazing actor.
And Narcos and basically anything I've seen him in. I've seen him in a couple of movies as well.
Wonder Woman 1984.
Game of Thrones again.
That film is really bad.
No, I really enjoyed it.
It doesn't mean that he was bad, but
yeah, he had a good time overacting his pants off. But like, yeah, I don't know. I thought that movie was awful.
So are you saying that the Wonder Woman film was good, but it could be better?
No, I'm saying it was terrible. I don't.
Thank you.
Yeah, Rob, I got that. Very nicely done, Cameron. Very nicely done. I wish it could work better.
Okay, no idea what's going on right now. So let's just talk about this a little bit more, and we'll move on quickly. Pedro Pascal, yeah, Jaime Lannister. The problem is, I think Jaime Lannister's the actor, dude. What was his name again, Rob?
Nikolaj Coster-Waldau.
Nick, Big Nick. I think he did all right because he was in on a large ensemble, and I think what you're going to get, obviously, in Last of Us is going to be very much a two-header focused on Joel and Ellie. So I think someone needs with gravitas. And we've already seen that Pedro Pascal does escort mission really well.
We've just watched The Last of Us in Space, 2 seasons of it.
So are we going to start calling little Lyanna Mormont Grogu? Is that what's going to happen now? She's the human Grogu.
I don't think Lyanna Mormont or Ellie would appreciate that, and they'd probably both rip your testicles off and stuff them down your throat.
She'd try. Probably succeed because I'm not very good at fighting. Yeah,
both of them are pretty damn badass. So yeah, right. So now. I suspect I could be wrong about Cameron, but I suspect neither of you even remember Games Master.
Nope.
Okay.
I know of it. but I think it was just a tad before my time of watching that sort of thing.
That's cool. So Games Master was pretty groundbreaking at its time. If you think about when this thing came out, all the way back in the early 90s, basically, it was this weird sort of hybrid variety kind of what I used to call magazine show, right? So it was this like, but all around video games. So you'd have these weird competitive elements where often kids would come out and try and do some kind of crazy challenge and fail miserably in a video game that they literally had no knowledge of prior to being on stage and playing this game to national television audience and in front of a studio audience, which wouldn't at all be terrifying. And then, like I said, usually fail miserably. And then you'd also have like celebrities come on and play video games as well. And then they'd have like bad, but not intentionally bad, but at the time, I guess, okay, games reviews and sort of news about what was going on. But it was all kind of hosted around this concept of this robotic Sir Patrick Moore. Do you remember Sir Patrick Moore, the Sky at Night?
Yeah, I know Sir Patrick Moore.
Yeah, and he was like, they had him like, it's a head. They just had his head, and they had like weird cyborg like overlay over it to make him look like he was a computer that would talk to, now the Games Master will try and challenge you, and it'd be like really having a great time, just overdoing it, and it was so cheesy, but it was very Channel 4, very edgy, very 90s, you know, it's the era of the big breakfast and stuff like that, and it was sort of all fell into that kind of vibe of television and stuff, but aimed at gamers, and there weren't a lot, and there still aren't really shows like that now, especially as we have live streaming stuff. It's kind of unnecessary, isn't it, that for those things to exist? But it was very, very, very sort of formative to me, and it was kind of like something that got me into games and helped me sort of expand my knowledge of different games and make me aware of different titles and stuff. And I'm sure if Richard was here today, he would be talking about his nostalgia for it as well. But they're going to be, supposedly, they're like opening up to pitches and trying to bring this back on Channel 4/E4.
How much do you want to bet Dara Breen is running towards this as fast as he can?
I think he'd make quite a good cyborg head as the Games Master himself. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, he's got enough
pretty
head,
bald.
hasn't he?
Yeah, and his big head, pretty bald, kind of like Sir Patrick Moore and stuff. So, yeah, I'm curious to see what a 2021-22 version of Games Master would be, because you get away with a lot back then because there was a lot less knowledge and understanding of the medium, and now there's obviously that's a lot higher bar. So if you do try and lampoon it too much, and if you just seem like you're pandering, I think you'll get called out. And it's like they need to make sure they understand their audience, and they can't just, if they try to aim it at gamers, then it needs to be deep enough. But if they try and aim it at sort of like the wider audience and it kind of comes across as wishy-washy, then what's the point? And it feels just sort of wasted. So I'm really curious to see what they do with it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it had a lot of like celebrities pop in as well and stuff.
It, yeah.
It, you know?
I mean,
these were 90s celebrities. So you had like English. It was an English shows. You had like English footballers, you know, and stuff like that coming in, and actors. You had Take That on it at one point in the 90s. Must have been huge.
Yes. Yes. I mean, it would have been.
Ben clearly remembers this episode.
For the time. I mean, I don't give a damn about Take That nowadays, but for like 1992 or 3, that they must have been like in their prime at that point. To have them on a TV show about
video games. Prime?
Who's your favourite member of Take That, Cameron? I ask you this because I feel like you've got one.
Gary Barlow. Gary Barlow.
Getting all excited over GB, are you? Yeah, I bet you are. Oh, yeah.
Right. Well, fine, be like that if you don't approve. But I mean, but I'm just wondering. The thing is, though, if they start bringing in celebrities and stuff for this version again, then I'm a little bit worried because of the amount of celebrities that we have nowadays that appear on there. I mean, I'd hate to see anyone from like the YouTube community, like Jake Paul, appearing on a video game TV show. I can already see Rob's face going.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's like, who do you? That's the tricky part, right? Because with gamers, we've got some fairly strongly delineated sort of strata to what you would call a gamer. So you've got those that are obsessed with the YouTube personalities, the younger gamers that play Fortnite religiously and Minecraft and are obsessed with very particular personalities. And that's one audience. And you've got the older ones that enjoy some retro stuff, but also are more interested in like the creation of the game as well, not just the personalities that play the games. And then you've got sort of like the wider audience that casually pick up the odd game and stuff. So this is the difficulty with making a proper TV show. It's gonna, who are you trying to appeal to? So it's going to be, because Games Master back in time was, like I said, between the years, I want to say it was like 92 and 98 or something, was incredibly weird and super inside baseball. Like, but then also you'd have these, like you were saying, mainstream celebs come on to promote shit, to play game, but it felt like they were taking the piss out of them, because they'd have them play these games and they'd always be bad at them, and they'd never, like, probably never played a video game before, and they just embarrassed themselves, like, to anybody that understood games. So it was like, it was a weird show. Yeah, it was a weird show. But cool though. I'm glad that I'm curious to see. Yeah, keeping an eye on that one.
Yeah, I'll give it a watch though when it comes out.
Yeah.
Cameron, did you want to mention the next news story, because you jumped in our WhatsApp when this happened and seemed quite moved?
Zenimax CEO Roger A. Altman has died at the age of 83. 73, sorry, my eyes unfocused there. 73 years old. He was co-founder, CEO of Bethesda's parent company, Zenimax. And yeah, he's passed away, which is a damn shame. Because
quite young, isn't it? By today's standards, 73. That's quite young.
Yeah, and he had a lot of input in a lot of the games and everything that came out, and wow, it was crazy when that happened. Because no one really kind of expected it at 73 years old for, I wouldn't say, can't exactly say prime of his life, but it wasn't so long after the Xbox games studio, they bought out Bethesda and everything, and yeah, it's crazy,
He's married to Linda Carter.
Linda Carter, yeah, who would have thought? Wonder Woman herself back in the old 80s. It just kind of hit, and I was just like, oh wow, someone that's a prominent person in the gaming universe that we have that has recently gone, and it's a little bit different from having someone who's been in the acting world for so long, because they're always, they're the front poster boy of movies and stuff like that. But like, this is just someone in the background who's, put a lot of influence into like bringing the games that we have nowadays that we loved.
No, absolutely, and I think that is worth mentioning that he, Zenimax with Bethesda were, they went from the plucky underdog publishing kind of, group to a powerhouse, to this huge Microsoft acquisition, so they've gone through a lot of phases, and there's no doubt that they did an incredible job producing some brilliant games like Fallout 3, Skyrim, some really, the Dishonored games, like the Doom games, modern Doom games, and the Wolfenstein games, and it's like they've done an incredible job putting out some really innovative video game experiences over the last couple of generations, especially. So I think you can't give them enough props for that, and I guess it's a shame he won't get to enjoy his potential. I don't know, I don't know how much money was going into his pockets from the Microsoft acquisition, but I imagine there was a buyout involved, and he probably was going to retire on that, and be off with Wonder Woman somewhere, but unfortunately he's not going to have the opportunity to do that, and it's sad when these key players move on and stuff. There's a few of them of that sort of age that are in the industry now, and you think about the Yves Guillemot kind of guys as well at Ubisoft. He's getting up there as well in age, so it's like, it's going to be a bit of a changing of the guard going on, and it's always sad, because especially when they've innovated and they've had a strong creative thrust to their output, so rest in peace.
Indeed. Well, I'm gonna wrest control of this for the next story, which I added on there, where I think this is a game only I play, so I will keep this as relatively short and sweet, but it's big news in the gaming community for me, so I thought I would share it. This week I think it was through the end of last week and into this, we had the announcement for Total War Warhammer 3 come out. They ran a little ad campaign with star constellations that dropped like a 60-second teaser, and the community was rife with speculation. They did about 4 of these before releasing the trailer for the last game, because this is their 3rd in a trilogy that they're doing. So it was very big and hyped up. There are lots of activity, lots of speculation in the community. We've got a brilliant rendered trailer. We've got that in the show notes in the link there. It's definitely worth a watch. Looks very interesting. You have a lady using ice magic to fight a slaughter demon. That's what's going on. So it's a strategy game revolving around a penultimate battle against chaos and the chaos gods. So 4 different gods focusing on 4 different aspects of chaos. Chaos, killing, lust, and plague. That's essentially the 4 different virtues, hugely distilled down because I can see Ben dying by the minute. But yeah, there's a very Asian-inspired faction coming in called Cathay, and then we have essentially a Russia-inspired faction with Kislev coming in as well, which is where the Ice Magic and Bear Riders come in. It
Nice.
should be very interesting, as it's going to be a capstone game of the series that they've been licensed to do with Games Workshop, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. We don't have a confirmed date, but it is coming to Steam and the Epic Games Store later in 2021, so it is a later this year thing rather than next or the year after. So I'm pretty hyped, and that's...
Yeah, but if it's late 2021, it probably will be next year.
There's speculation that it's actually going to be May.
Oh, wow, okay.
Depending on their release schedule.
I'm down with anything. That
Well, I'm
gets,
glad you're
writing
excited,
better.
Rob.
Thank you, Ben. That's remarkably supportive of you.
All I'll say is I love a good Total War game. I'm pretty sure I would enjoy these, even though I don't have a particular affinity for the connected franchise and IP. However, yeah, Total War game they're good games. They're all good games. I can't think of even the ones that came out rough always got fixed. So I think of Rome 2.
My friend, I actually sent this little tidbit to a friend of mine who used to work for Creative Assembly. She stopped working for him, I think, about half a year ago, and her response was just, "Don't care anymore." I'm like, all right, fine. Thought you'd have some input, but nah, I got no input from my friend. I'm afraid, my inside source, as it were. Just a.
Speaking of Total War and Creative Assembly, they've recently made a Total War Discord server that is open to join. Within a week, they had 20,000 members, of which I am one.
You were one of them.
Yes.
Yeah, I know you were.
Of course I was. They're very good interacting with their community and engaging with them, which is really good to see. So, yeah, they're a very good developer. I like them.
Wonderful.
So, speaking of other interactive developers, Bungie are reasonably interactive with their community most of the time when it suits them. And
I need to tell them no.
yeah.
There's a line in this story. I'll quote it. Yeah, go on, set it up. Yeah.
So in Beyond Light in November even last year, we had improvements to the Cosmodrome. It was allowed to be like a patrollable area, which was one of the original areas when Destiny 1 was in beta that you could go and explore, and they've brought more of that back. They haven't put it to its full size, and they have now confirmed, unfortunately, they're not going to anymore. They're just going to leave it at what it is now, because they would rather develop new stuff than old. This
came from the community manager DMG04. I'm going to quote this because of what you said. It's very apt. We failed to properly update your expectations for how far the Cosmodrome experience was going to be extended, and that was a mistake. I did my best impersonation of DMG.
Someone you've never heard vocally speak. Well done.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain they sound like that, though.
Oh, grating. Please don't ever do that again.
Yeah.
I just think that's great. Yeah, we changed our plans. We just didn't tell you. Soz. It was just like...
Good luck.
It's just such a hilarious thing to say. But yeah, I was quite psyched when they brought back the Cosmodrome part of Earth, because nostalgia is strong, and it's unfortunate they aren't going to expand on it more. That is a shame. That is a shame.
What I do find quite funny, because Season 13, Season of the Chosen, launched on Tuesday, just gone, as Ben and I will bore Cameron with in a minute, and they have misplaced a strike. That it should be around, but you can't find it on the director, and you can't play it. So
Is it meant to be there then?
it's meant to be live, and they've misplaced it.
They've confirmed that it should be. I just assumed it was later on it was coming, but no, they've just fucked the pooch.
Yes.
Okay.
There is a hotfix on Tuesday which will resolve this.
Oh, good. I was just assuming it was going to come later. It's like, all right. Should we? I mean, there's not a lot more to the story. So shall we just talk about some Destiny 2 then?
I think we have, because that's what we've been playing, both of us, this week.
Yeah, that's all I've played this week when I felt up to it. Yeah. So, mate, I really like this season so far. This is really, really good. I really like it's Battlegrounds, they're called.
Yes.
Aren't they? They're replayable. I'm just looking forward to more being added, because there's only 2 right now, so that gets a little bit grating. Yeah, but I've done that thing where I was actually like actively going after quests and bounties. I've got past level 10, 11 on my season pass already in the first week, which is really good for me. Just shows that I'm enjoying it a bit more than the last season, I think. I weirdly quite enjoying shooting Cabal for a change. Enjoyed some of the new weapons drops I've got, some of the legendaries that have come out of this event. I actually quite like the Cabal SMG that I've had a few rolls on now, which is pretty cool. What else? Really love the new epic bow is just my jam. I love this bow. This is one of my favorite bows ever so far in Destiny.
It's beautiful.
What's it called?
Tiku's Divination. So when you hit fire the bow, it fires 3 homing arrows that burn the targets. And when you aim down the sights and you shoot a burning target, it explodes.
You're just making things explode.
Yes.
All the time, Cam.
It's
all
wonderfully
the
fun.
time. It's really good fun.
I take it.
I've been working mostly on the exotic catalyst for Tiku's Divination to upgrade it somehow, which was revolved in me playing lots of PvP, because there are a couple of PvP objectives. I'm terrible at PvP, so it's been a bit of a slog to get through.
That's all I've got left to do on that now myself. Yeah, I have to get I've got 48 more kills to get or something. I got some in Gambit, which was quite handy.
Yeah.
When I did the Gambit playlist, but yeah, I've got to get in the Crucible.
My advice is jump in Mayhem and just continue shooting, and jump in Control and just shoot everything. Don't use any other guns except for that bow. And
yeah,
the hours it took me to knock the objectives out.
Have you got the catalyst then?
Not yet. I'm currently 40 odd of 200 in activity completions, so I need to complete.
Oh, is this a second?
Yeah, there's a second tier that
God.
requires PvP again.
All right.
So yeah, it's one of these things. Just focus it down, get it out of the way, and then you never have to do it again.
What do we know what it gives?
I don't know yet, actually, to be honest.
Okay. I hope it's bloody worth it. Jesus.
So do I. I'm hoping maybe it's like another shot that homes in or something. That would be quite cool. Or increases explosion damage. That would be quite cool. So
yeah, increasing the explosion damage would be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I'm enjoying that. I'm liking the new. I think there's some nice new armor sets in there that look pretty cool. What else? Well, we haven't been able to try the returning strike yet, because like you just said, it's broken.
No, there are 2 returning strikes.
When's the other one coming?
One of them is live already. The Devil's Lair, that's live now. That's with Sepix, the original like D1.
How do you
strike.
Get to it?
It's a Nightfall. So it's a Nightfall the ordeal. So you can run it through that. It joins the rotation on Tuesday. It's the Fallen Saber Strike that has just vanished.
Okay.
But yeah, it's good that they're coming back. Apparently, lots of community members have been very pleased. It's the enemy density in them is through the roof compared to what we normally get. So
that's what they've
changed
done.
that. They've just left it as it was in D1, which was enemies everywhere, slaughter everything. So
well, that's what the battlegrounds are like, which is something I really enjoy. I mean, there are so many ads on the screen, and they don't punish you with limited respawning ability and stuff like that. They just say go buck wild, just get your supers all the time, just drop bombs, just murder, and it actually makes like running the bounties in that super easy and super enjoyable. And I just think that's what it's about, isn't it? That's what it's about. The shooting feels good. Let's have more shooting,
Indeed.
please. So yeah, that is pretty cool. Oh, one of the things I noticed was the weird thing they don't really advertise is it's not surfaced particularly well. There's the cap on Cabal Gold. So when you're like trying to farm gold, you have to be aware that you can only carry a very small amount, and then if you keep doing stuff to get it, you stop getting it, and it's like, oh, god damn it!
You can upgrade your Hammer of Proving at the war table by spending resources. When you get reputation rewards for the table from your weekly challenges, you can upgrade the amount of Cabal Gold you can carry. So yes, I've done about 3 different upgrades for that now. So
nice.
Yeah. Trying to get those weekly challenges done.
Very cool. Very cool. Anything else you want to bring up about it?
No, just mostly that's probably what I'm going to spend a fair portion of my afternoon doing once I've looked at car insurances.
Oh, that definitely sounds more exciting than car insurance.
It really does.
What about you, Cam? What have you been playing?
So, I got bought a game by one of my bros, and it was Hades. The wonderful isometric roguelike games that we got. I am adoring it.
So that's Game of the Year, Hades.
Game of the Year, Hades, that we gave. Yes.
Game of the Year, Hades, yeah.
Yes, I was the only idiot to not have played this game before we voted on it being Game of the Year. So I only had to agree with you 3 at the time. But now, I get why.
Yeah.
I really do. The art style of it, the combat and everything, it all works. And the little quirks here and there of the characters having little quips here and there really just helps build the environment, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I was a big fan of I was playing Dead Cells religiously for ages, a long time, and this was kind of like another step up, and it was a huge leap up, not just because of the environments, but there is actual dialogue between the characters, and it helps build their personalities a whole lot more. With Hades being this, I don't want to say reluctant dad, but he's certainly given up on his son's career choices. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's just like, oh, for God's sake, stop breaking my shit, please. And it's brilliant. And I'm probably going to, if I can get away from the,
actual son you have.
Yeah, actual son I have. And I should be spending Valentines with instead of this scenario. I'll try and play some Hades when she's not around, if I can.
Sounds like a good choice.
It's a good game, yeah.
This is where she just bangs on the door and goes, "No, you fucking won't."
I made her breakfast already. She's got a gift. That's all. That's good enough. Other than that, I've been
got her a
playing
gift.
What
did you get her as a gift?
Oh, I can't tell you that.
He just put a ribbon on his forehead.
Yes, but it wasn't my forehead.
Yes.
God.
Oh.
I mean, you totally
set him up for that.
I got a little bath pack. She's got some bath bombs so she can chill and relax in and stuff like that. And I made her favourite breakfast. That's good enough. That's all you get from me. I'm a very simple man. Food and relaxation. That's all
that sounds like a very nice thing to get someone.
Yeah, very thoughtful. Yeah, nicely done, Cameron.
Yeah, that could be nice when I want to be.
Well played.
Other than that, there's a couple of games that we will be reviewing very soon. That'll go back up on our YouTube channel soon. I've been playing Fallback and Manifold Gardens. Now, I don't know if you've actually looked into some of the videos. Ben, I think you had a little peek. And Manifold Garden, that nearly made me sick at one point, to be
That's the
honest.
sort of MC Escher style, crazy, twisted puzzles stuff, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I love puzzles, and this is you're in a world which is kind of it's like an infinite world. It goes on forever. I fell off something expecting to die, and then the area I was just in came up from the ground for me to land on again. I was like, oh, wow, okay, that's crazy. And it's all physics based with you have to play around with gravity. You can if you look at the wall next to you when you're next to it, it'll the entire world will just flip round, and then you'll be walking around on that wall instead from that point on. And I was playing for a while, I was speeding through it, and then I sort of stopped to look somewhere else, and I was like, ow. because I've just been speeding through and just changing directions, and like the entire world just shifting around me. It was really cool.
It's where you stand up and the room just tilts. Like that hallway scene in
90 degrees
Inception,
slam
and you're
into the
just
ground.
walking up the walls.
I remember my example of that was playing Tetris so much that when I closed my eyes, I'd see Tetraminos fall in front of my, the insides of my eylids.
That happens to me, but when I'm stacking a dishwasher, I hear the Tetris music in my head. When I'm just packing stuff away, it's just...
Your wife comes running in after there's a huge crash, and she's like, "What did you do?" Well, I cleared a line.
Yeah, I matched a line.
Oops.
High score. No.
So yeah, I've been having some fun with that, and I've also been playing Fallback, which was like a roguelike adventure. It's set into the future after this huge, what's the word? Geological, like cataclysm. Yeah, I guess we'll go with that. And whilst you and the remnants of humanity are in this this underground city, you and everyone else has basically been captured by these robots that you guys built to help look after you guys, and they've captured you now because they don't like the idea of you guys now getting rid of them now that the surface is starting to get better. So the robots are gone, nah, you'll stay down here. So you have to rescue everyone, basically. You're the chosen one, or, well, chosen 6 apparently, because you get to unlock more people. But again, very much kind of like Hades and Dead Cells. It is an isometric gameplay where you get to take them on, and it's the environment and the map that you have, the layout. It changes depending on what direction you're going. If you actually have a little look at it, I think Ben, you had a little look, I think, at the video. It's the map itself. It's this full big square that you play around in, but like the camera angle changes depending what route you take. Which again was a little disorientating to start with at one point, because every other kind of game I've played, like Hades or Dead Cells, it's just from one focused area. Dead Cells is just a 2D flat area, and it's kind of almost top down for Hades. And this one, it's all side on, but the whole map is changing. It's completely changing every direction that you twist and turn, and it was brilliant. And I'm still trying to speed through that as well, but I'm too distracted by Hades now, so I don't know when I'm going to finish that one.
Yep, so we'll have some full video content of those coming soon on the channel. Yeah. Have you played anything else, Rob?
I've briefly played some more Hades. I'm still trying to actually complete a run because I haven't yet, and it drives me insane. Other than that, I spent a bit of time yesterday playing some games with a friend. We played some runs of Black Ops 3 Zombie Mode, which was quite cool, and we played Monopoly on the Xbox, which apparently has quick resume function, the Monopoly, on the Xbox Series X. For no reason.
You don't lose 10 hours of gameplay. Don't lose 10 hours of gameplay like Ben did on Valhalla, do you?
No, you don't. Just going to rub salt into that one.
Just twist the knife a little bit, yeah.
What have you been playing otherwise, Ben? Just Destiny? Because
I checked out... I did briefly check out Destiny 2, which has had not Destiny 2, Division 2, which has had a sort of... Not exactly a Series XS enhancement, but they have... If you have the Series S or the X, it's now unlocked 60 frames at 4K. And that does run really nice and look really nice now as well. On the newer hardware, but no, not much more than that actually this week, to be honest. I played I think that's it. Not a lot really. So I think this is the end of this episode. You may have noticed we didn't have a topic this week because we wanted to keep this one relatively brief due to my dying. Due to my death happening live right now. So I think we'll be back next week with more news, reviews and topics and stuff. We're gonna have Game Pass Club next week potentially with Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which would be nice to have a little bit more of a chat about that after talking about it a bit over Game of the Year. But I'm sure there'll be more news and other games to talk about as well. So until next time, you can find me at DIYE on Twitter. You can find Cameron at Camelot on Twitter. And you can find Rob at Homeless Mystic Gibbs on Twitter. In addition, you can find us in general Experience Kills on Twitter. One final weird little plug here. The first episode of Circling the Vortex in nearly 2 years has just come out on our YouTube channel. This is our very strange, very niche podcast that I do with my friend Nathan, in which we discuss episodes of Sliders, the 1990s TV series that you're probably not even aware of. Weirdly though, strong, awesome fan base, and we're having a great time getting together and watching them online, and then talking about them. We used to do this in person, but the first episode of season 2 we've just covered, and we'll be back in. I think we're going to do them bi-weekly. So we'll have another episode in a couple of weeks' time, and that's now up on the channel as well. So check that out if you want to go back to the start of season 1 and watch along with us or something. That'd be cool. It's a fun, if at times terrible, TV show. I can't really recommend it. It's not good, like all of it. Some of it's good. Yeah, it definitely has a cult following. Yeah, definitely one of those types of shows. And there's a really great community on the Reddit as well, for the Sliders Reddit. They're really nice guys over there, and they always have a good chat about it and stuff. But yeah, check that out if you're so inclined. But if not, give us a like and subscribe on YouTube. Remember, you can find these as podcasts on iTunes, Spotify, and anywhere a good podcast can be found. And I think that brings us to the end of the podcast, and I'm quite happy that I didn't have to run off and go to the toilet, which is quite good. So I'm winning.
Achievement unlocked.
Achievement unlocked. That's it. So I think that's everything. Yeah, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Be back soon. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Happy Valentine's Day, you sexy bitches. Is it too early to start hitting on his wife? I mean, it is Wonder Woman after.
Holy shit. Holy shit.
Wow.
Okay
then.